It has now been more than 5 years since Canada's Competition Bureau began investigating an alleged bread price-fixing scandal, and so far, we have seen no charges, no answers, and no timeline. And that is raising questions about how long it could potentially take to get some results of this current investigation that's looking into price increases at Canadian grocers. Joining us this morning is competition law expert Jennifer Quaid. Good morning.
Good morning, Anne-Marie.
So Loblaw first came forward to tell Canada's Competition Bureau about its role in what was said to be an industry-wide price-fixing scheme on bread. That happened in 2015. And for that move, they received immunity from prosecution. So the Competition Bureau began their investigation in 2017. And since then, as we pointed out, there hasn't been any significant updates. Why is it taking so long?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. We don't actually know why it's taking so long. What I can say is that it's not following the usual pattern of what's expected when you grant immunity to one party. The typical, or at least the historical pattern, I guess, is that you grant immunity and then the other conspirators who've been denounced by the original company that goes in and seeks immunity will then queue up to each get their turn to make a deal. The way the immunity and leniency program that the Competition Bureau applies works is that the first one in, if they provide the right amount of information and cooperate, get immunity, and then the second in will get a discount, will get leniency on the consequences, set at 50% usually, unless there's something unusual, and then the third one in might get 30% discount. It depends on how many players are in the conspiracy, of course, and whether there is an instigator, because instigators aren't supposed to get any favorable treatment. But the idea is that it's supposed to precipitate a kind of rush to make deals, and that way everyone comes forward. That's not what happened here.
So what's wrong with the system then when those parties can decide to dig in their heels and say, I'm not going to say anything, and there doesn't seem to be any accountability to the Bureau to say, it's 5 years, we need something?
Well, this is the challenge with this kind of system that is based on voluntary cooperation. If you're expecting companies to come forward because you create the right incentives, it's difficult when you discover those incentives don't work to really change them in real time. I mean, maybe going forward, that is going to be something the Bureau has to think about. One of the things that has happened, I guess, since 2017, but I don't think is a factor in this case, is that now we have another way of resolving economic crimes with big companies called remediation agreements, but competition offenses are expressly excluded from that. And some people have speculated that that's part of the reason why the immunity and leniency program isn't as popular, because unlike the immunity and leniency program, where if you get leniency, you still have to plead guilty, a remediation agreement actually gives you the chance to avoid a guilty plea, which means you can avoid being barred from tendering for public contracts. But I'm not sure that in the bread industry that's really relevant. So it's not clear what's going on, and I don't know that the Competition Bureau knows what they need to do to change the incentives. I think the most plausible explanation here is that Loblaws came forward, and the other companies are just believe that there's not enough evidence to prove anything against them. I don't want to say one way or the other whether anyone participated or not in the bread fixing conspiracy, because I have no idea. But it may just be a simple question of evidence. They don't think there's enough, and they're prepared to sit back and say, you know what, if you think there's enough, take us, let's meet in court.
Okay, so putting on pause the bread price fixing investigation, and let's look at the other one that they're looking at right now, which is the concern over groceries and is it related to inflation, or is this grocery companies that are raising the price? If that's how effective or not effective that system is in bread price fixing, is this the best system to investigate this new issue?
Well, that's a fair question. I think that, perhaps your listeners need to remember that the criminal law is a very blunt, sharp instrument that can only be used very selectively. So the idea that we could try to ensure that the marketplace provides affordable prices for consumers through the criminal law is not a really good strategy. The cartel offenses in the Competition Act are really designed to target deliberate conduct that's trying to undermine how the market is supposed to work. So price fixing, market allocation, or supply restrictions. And I'm not sure, I don't know the full details. The Bureau is the one doing this market study. What are the factors contributing to higher prices? I'm not sure that they're necessarily the product of express agreements, which is what the criminal provisions would target. And if it's not that, then I think there has to be a discussion about what are the other tools. I mean, something that everyone has to remember, it may be implied, is that we don't set prices generally in Canada. We allow the market to determine prices. And so the question is, if we say, well, there's a need to intervene to make sure that prices are at a low enough level, that starts to look like a different kind of economic system that may make some people worried that, you know, now the state is going to get into the business of deciding what's an affordable price.
All good points to consider. And it sounds like we're going to have a lot of time to consider them. Thanks so much, Jennifer.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.